Welcome to Smart Cherry's Thoughts. This is Sai from India.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming to my show.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry for the delay and everything.
Yeah, no
I'm glad
problem.
we're making it happen.
We are connected now.
Indeed.
I thought to tell about the work that you're doing to my audience.
Yeah, hey, Sai, I know that you're recording this, which is cool, but can you give me a little bit introduction to your audience and what interests them?
Yeah, I actually wanted to tell about you and the work that you're doing in detail to my audience, so that they will know what you're doing and how you can do things that you're doing.
Okay, and is your audience, are they entrepreneurs or marketers
Every
or
everybody,
everybody? Okay, wow, that's a big audience then.
yeah, and everybody, and they are from everywhere on this planet.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. And they belong to different industries, tech, non-tech, CEOs, directors, engineers, everybody.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So can you please introduce yourself to them?
Sure, my name is, well, I don't know if you see my name. I see it on my screen, but my name is Neil Schaefer. I met Sai on Twitter, where he's quite active. So this is an example of building relationship through social media. And that's sort of what I do for a living. So I help businesses with their social and influencer and content and digital marketing. Based in Southern California, I also speak Japanese and Chinese. So I tend to help a lot of Japanese companies as well, but I consult. I also have written a few books. In fact, this is my latest book is called The Age of Influence, which is about influencer marketing. And I speak at a lot of conferences around the world. Never spoken in India, unfortunately. I've spoken in Bahrain and South Africa and other countries. And I also teach digital marketing at a few universities in the United States and in Europe. So I'm all about helping educate and empower people, businesses, all about the potential of digital and social media marketing for their business.
So you are into this from?
I'm into, excuse me.
You are into this job from when you are
Um,
doing this?
Yeah, so it's funny. A lot of people change careers over time, and I am an example of someone who I began my career actually in sales in high tech, semiconductor, embedded software, IPTV middleware, and at one point I moved back. I started my career in Asia. I lived in Japan for 15 years. I moved back to the United States. And at that time, I was still consulting for my last company, but my we were raising a young family, and my wife didn't like the fact that I was traveling a lot with a sales job. So it was the first time I had to really change what I was doing. And at the time, I started becoming a heavy user of LinkedIn, and it actually indirectly helped me find my next job, which didn't last very long. And then my wife is like, you should write an ebook or something. And I had already started the blog. So I turned the blog into a book, which led to speaking opportunities, which led to me launching a consultancy. This is back in January of 2010. So it's sort of, I say, like social media is a market that found me. And ever since then, the last 12 years of obviously things have changed. We didn't have TikTok back then. We didn't have Instagram back then. And just the role of YouTube and blogging and all of this has changed over the last 12 years. But I really enjoyed adapting and helping different businesses at different stages. So that's the history.
So what businesses you work with?
I work with a variety of businesses. I'd say it's a combination of bigger companies that want to do innovative things with their marketing, as well as smaller companies that really want to make a splash with marketing. So it's a wide variety of industries. I've worked with, high tech, musicians, real estate, food and nutrition, health and beauty. It's a variety of companies, but their need is all the same. It's related about they want to do more with their digital and influencer and content and social media marketing.
So, how you give this service to them?
How do I provide the service?
Correct.
So I am a consultant. So basically, I work on their behalf, and I'm directly providing them the service. So some clients want to actually be face to face, especially before COVID. After COVID, not so easy. But I do have clients where in Southern California, I will work in their office together with their employees. With other clients, like in Japan, we do it virtually over Zoom. It's just like we're working together, but we have the Zoom camera on. And for other clients, maybe some of the work they want me to do research, or they want me to create strategy, or create content. And that will be done, obviously, remotely during my own time. So it really depends. I like to be very flexible, and I'm here to serve clients' needs, whatever they might be. So that is why it's a variety of ways that I serve. But yeah, I'm not an agency. I do have a staff that work primarily for my brand, and sometimes for certain client projects, I bring them in. But I'm basically a solopreneur, author slash speaker slash consultant. So yeah, it's when companies want to work with me, in the contract they say we want to work with Neal Schaffer. Neal Schaffer will perform the work. So yeah, it's all up here, the service I provide.
So, businesses that you work with in last few years?
Hey, Sai, you froze up there. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you mention some of the companies that you worked for and the things happened after your contribution?
Yeah, so most companies you can imagine I have NDAs with. So yeah, I don't go about mentioning company names, especially like publicly.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's
yeah,
a number of different companies that I've worked with over time. If you go to my website, you might be able to find some logos. So
yeah. I saw it, and the people who are watching and listening to you can see the website. I'll put on the screen.
beautiful. Thank you.
So, this and what made you to do service to the world through this medium?
What made me decide to provide that service?
Yeah, what is why your interest is on digital marketing?
Well, when I started, I wasn't doing this for business. I was just doing this for networking to meet people, make new connections on LinkedIn. And I thought a blog would be a great way to network with people and provide them information. So I didn't plan on doing it until after I started speaking. I had companies reach out to me looking for help. And I genuinely wanted to help because I thought I knew more about it than they did. And I wanted them to do it the right way, not the wrong way. So I'd say that at the beginning, I needed to decide, well, what is my business model going to be? What am I going to provide them? And at times I did sort of toy with the idea of creating a tool, which I never ended up developing, but I had some beta or alpha tools that I created. I did not have an agency background because my background was more B2B sales. So that's why the consulting made a lot of sense to me. And with the consulting, I realized that companies needed two things. They needed a strategy and they needed education on how to implement that strategy and why the strategy is important. So really, I focused on the strategy and education. And I guess I really enjoy I enjoy being an educator. I enjoy helping others and teaching others. And my father was an elementary school teacher, and maybe it's part of the DNA of my family. But I really enjoy that, of empowering others and helping them see things they didn't understand before, and helping them really grow their businesses and their careers. So that's the passion that drives me.
Working for US companies and working for other countries companies, how is that?
Well, I started my career working for a Japanese company in Japan. So as you can imagine, very different than American companies. American companies, I mean, there is teamwork, don't get me wrong, but it's much more about you and your career and is this good for me or not? In Japan, it's all teamwork all the time. You don't want to be the one that sticks out, right? So very, very different. And I think in my early career in my 20s, starting it in Japan was very beneficial to me because actually through the teams, I learned a heck of a lot. I had a chance to really interface with my peers, with seniors. So I'm really thankful for that opportunity. But at a certain point, I felt that I needed to grow bigger and faster, and that's where I felt moving to an American company, which I ended up doing, was the right move. I would also say the first company I worked at was a few $1 billion huge company. After that, I worked with smaller and smaller companies. So I really like working with startups. So I think there's American business culture, European business culture, Japanese business culture, Chinese business culture, Indian, but then there's like startup business culture and big company business culture. And startups to me are very exciting. It's like high risk, high return, but you really feel the impact of what you do. And I guess even at the big company, I was in charge of like sales in China, or I was VP of Asia sales. So I was always like an entrepreneur within the company, running my own little company within a bigger company. So I think that the business culture in American companies obviously allows you to do more of that, gives you more responsibility. With that comes greater risk, but with that responsibility, you get the chance to really grow. So yeah, they're all different. They all have their place, and I think as global citizens, if we can navigate, and not every company is the same, not every American company is the same, not every Japanese company is the same. So it's a marriage, trying to find the right culture, the right fit for you and your future. And one point of advice I would give is if you don't feel you're growing at the company you're working at, you really got to find a place where you can grow. It's out there, but you're doing yourself and your company a disservice if you don't do that. That's something I learned very, very early on. It's why I changed. It took me 9 years to change after my first job, but I'm really glad I waited, and I'm really glad I changed after that.
How much time you take to understand the business model of the company and to market them digitally?
Well, I have clients that I work with clients a minimum of 90 days. So, I think very quickly I can assess what are the needs of a company, where is the potential, right? But from there, for instance, let's say SEO, there's competition, right? And then there's how you implement a strategy. So that is going to change over time. Or if you want to work with influencers, well, we don't know how they're going to perform until they start publishing content talking about us. Or email marketing, we don't know until we send out several email blasts to sort of see the open rate, the click rate, the conversions. So for that reason, it's easy to assess the needs, but it takes longer to really see how to fine tune things and what's going to be more beneficial than other parts so that we can invest more in social over SEO or email marketing over social, what have you. So that's the process that it takes time to measure and then optimize and improve. But in terms of seeing the potential that companies have, I did a pre-sales call yesterday with a Japanese technology company, and I think it was pretty easy over the 30-minute call to assess their immediate needs. Now, once again, you need to build a strategy around that. You need to implement and then optimize. But yeah, the immediate needs of most companies are pretty similar, and either they're doing those things or they're not doing those things is the way I look at it.
So which company, which industry company that you worked with that you like a lot?
Man, I like all my customers. So, my background is tech sales. So I love working with B2B companies. A lot of people don't understand it or they think it's boring, but I think B2B is actually quite exciting. And it obviously revolves around a lot of content. Consumer-facing brands are fun too, because that's where influencers and social media plays a more important role. So I don't enjoy the advertising, the Google ads, the Facebook ads. I enjoy more of working with companies that want to invest more in content and with influencers and employees and developing relationships. I find those to be more interesting, and I think there's more potential to have a bigger impact. than merely giving money away to Google and to Facebook. And it just becomes a digital automated thing that doesn't really require, a lot of brain power, although obviously there is strategy in Google and Facebook ads. But I prefer the more creative, people related parts, content related parts as well of digital marketing.
So today we have so many platforms to market anything in the internet. So I'm sure you working with different clients and working on different service providing platforms, most of it. So how it performs and how the growth happens for any company digitally.
Well, I mean, digitally, things can happen pretty quickly. So I think different things, different channels require different time. Organically, it takes time to grow. 3 months is really quick to grow organically. Even like if we just look at SEO, it requires your website to have a certain amount of authority before Google really starts moving you up in the search engine rankings and you get more and more traffic and higher rankings. Same with YouTube. At some point, when I interview, YouTube influencers, and at some point they've made 100 videos or 50 videos or 200 videos, at some point YouTube figures out what their channel's about. They've already gotten good data around them, and the content's good. People stay and watch, until the end. So they start, like it's almost like flipping a switch, and they start delivering it to more and more people. So definitely with organic, whether it's SEO or social media, that's going to take time. Email marketing, it takes time to build up a list and then to build a relationship with people on the list. So I'd say if you really fast track and accelerate things, you can start seeing results in 3 to 6 months. But I think for the average company, it's really going to take more like 6 to 12 months before you start seeing impactful results. That would be my guess. But obviously, it's different for every company in every industry, and every channel is different as well. And that's where it makes sense to have a paid ads to accelerate that growth. So the greater, when you're just starting out and organically you don't get much traction, you use the paid. And if you have a huge paid budget, that's going to really help accelerate the growth of your organic, if that makes sense.
Why love your job?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, you're going in and out there.
Yeah, why you love your job?
I love to help. I think we're all put on earth for a reason, and I guess my reason is to serve others and help them. So, if something were to happen to me, if there was a big earthquake and the house came crashing down, and all this experience and knowledge just goes to waste, all right? So by helping as many people, I try to help as many people as possible through my blog or my podcast or YouTube videos. And then companies that will, invest in me and pay me money, I want to help them. So that's what keeps me going. I think the other part is, I want to become better and better. I want to become smarter and smarter. So with every client, it's a new challenge. I learn more about, a different platform, or I go deeper in a platform I haven't gone deeper in before. So that to me is very exciting. I consider it like a game. You play one of those RPG role-playing games, and your experience level goes up and up and up, and you get the different levels, and you want to level up. And I sort of see my career the same way. I want to gain that experience so that I can constantly level up and be the best that I can be. So I'm sort of gamifying my own career, but that's what that to me is the fun part. When I work with a client, I learn something, and then when I help them, those are the two things that I love about what I do.
So I can see you are into multiple jobs and also into multitasking. So I'm sure you understand about human networking and also computer networking well in order to make this happen.
Yeah, so I'm what you call a fractional CMO. So fractional means I work with a few companies at the same time. And in order to do that, I guess two things. Number one, you have to price yourself in a way that you're not working full time, but you're making full time salary. So that's number one. You need to be able to have the skills and the the ability to be able to get that pricing in the market. The other part is you need to be really good at time management. So that's why, Sai, we talked like, hey, can we talk for like 90 minutes or an hour? So I plan my days. I usually don't do random calls like people on LinkedIn. Hey, you have time for a call? No, I don't have time for a call. I usually only reserve time for calls for my clients, right? Because they're paying me for the privilege. So you really need to be really, really good at time management, at email management, managing your time in social media. That it's taken years, but I think I've become really, really good at that. The other part is you have to be able to, this goes back to the classic books like The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. If you want to scale, if you want to become an influencer or you want to grow your career, you need to be able to focus your time on strategic activities. So all those mundane tasks that you do, outsource them. So I'm a big proponent. I mentioned that I have a team that I work with. So any task that I think is not worth my time, if I had that time available for clients, I can make a lot more money. It pays for me to pay someone to do that for me. So delegating tasks, and if you work in a company, you can delegate them to other people in your company. If you can't, then you outsource them. And I've worked with people, from India, from Philippines, from Ukraine, lots of different countries. That to me is how you can really scale your career or your company. So it's a combination, time management, delegation, and just really being strategic in your time. I mean, yeah, we have like 8 hours of work a day, but that can go really fast if you're just on social media or you're doing things that someone else can be doing. And frankly, these people can probably do it better than you can, right? If that's all they do for a living. So that's my advice to everybody listening or watching, I should say.
So how you are able to shift your mind from one product to other product to give the service?
Yeah, so there's a book that came out that talks a lot about this, a book called Deep Work. And what I do is when I work with a client, I try to go deep and I try to just shut out everything else. So this is why when I work with clients, I prefer to work an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time, just like 15 minutes or just like a short email. It's really hard to get into that deep work mode. But like one client, I go into their office like a half a day per week. So during those 4 hours, it is absolutely focused on that client. And when that happens, that allows me to be focused on them, but also as I'm working with them, pull in all the other experiences I have working with other companies. So that's how, if you don't do deep work, it's really, really hard to do. That's why whenever there is a big task, like I just started teaching an influencer marketing class at UCLA Extension here in Los Angeles, and I had to just shut out everything else, including some client work, so that I can complete my curriculum. I'm going to be speaking at Content Marketing World. I'm creating a new presentation for that. Same thing. Everything else has to be on hold so that I can focus deeply on just completing this task. So that's the way that I work. That allows me to better. It's not truly multitasking because the science says humans really can't multitask, right? But it's going deep and closing out everything else that I can focus. And with that focus, I can get it done faster and more efficiently. And at the end of the day, if I can do multiple deep works for multiple clients, that's how it looks like I'm multitasking when I'm actually not.
Like you said, you give 90 days for every client. So in order to show them the change, you take 90 days.
Well, I'd say the 90 days for me is the minimum that I want to work with a client for, because it's going to take at least 90 days to see impact. So if we only work together for a month, it's not a good use of my time or their time. And I'm a really passionate individual. I really want to help. And 30 days is just not enough time. So I do set a 90-day minimum. There's also a financial reason that if you want to work with me, you need to at least invest 3 months worth of time. And then obviously 3 months worth of consulting fees. So that has really helped, only work with clients that are really interested in working with me. And I'd say that, yes, 90 days, they may not see the impact immediately, but they will understand the changes that will happen, and they'll buy into why it was smart working with me. So because of how focused I am, man, a half day at a client, we can get a lot done because I'm just hyper focused on the task, and they are hyper focused because they're paying money to have me there, and it's only a limited time. So actually, that fractional CMO business model works out really good. Whereas if they hired me full time, probably the pace is going to be a little bit slower for a variety of reasons. So yeah, I think clients are always surprised of how much we can get done because I'm not an agency. I'm not an employee. I'm only there for a short amount of time, and I'm hyper focused on the job that needs to be done. And I need to show results because I want them to extend the contract, renew the contract. So it's like a free agent in sports, right? I'm like Lionel Messi. I'm on a new team. Well, if I don't perform, they're going to fire me. So I need to score some goals, make some assists. It's a similar mindset that I have that I think my clients appreciate.
What is the small and the big size companies that you work for?
Well, I've worked with some of the biggest insurance companies in the United States, some of the biggest real estate companies in the United States. I've worked with a Grammy Award-winning musician who has, 7, 8-figure social media followers. And I've worked with startups, just like 3 people that came together. They created a great app and they want to provide a service around it. And they're literally just starting. So yeah, I mean, every company needs marketing. How are you going to get sales without marketing? Well, I mean, having salespeople is part of it, but these days so much happens online. There's a lot of research being done digitally. And even if your salesperson goes out to a client, they're going to look you up online. And so you need to have a minimal presence at least. And if you have a minimal presence, why not take advantage of that and use that to generate leads in business as well? So yeah, I think it's a critical skill. Everybody says that, we all need to learn like computer science and artificial intelligence, and that's the future. And I don't disagree, but I also think that marketing, especially digital marketing, is something where there's still going to be huge demand for, because all those companies creating AI and computer science still need to sell their tools, right? Sell their products. And that's why marketing and understanding people and understanding how to engage with them and develop relationships and to create content that generates excitement about your product, that is also a skill that I don't think is going away.
And what is the biggest challenge that you have faced and solved it?
The biggest challenge that I faced and solved? That's a really good question. Some of the biggest challenges I have is when we have new platforms that come about, or companies want to use new tools. And for instance, it could be a TikTok, it could be a Google Data Studio, it could be things, or Amazon ads. It could be things that I've yet to use for my own personal brand, but that companies need help with it. So that requires me to invest my time outside of working with clients in R&D to better understand those platforms in a short period of time. So those are the challenges. But once again, I see that everything I do is leveling up my experience and getting me to the next level. So I solve those challenges by genuinely doing R&D, leveraging my own brand as a way to do R&D to try to better understand how those platforms work. So I'm in a unique position where I can do that because I have a brand that I'm on all these platforms and I do social media for a living. So I can, test things out that then I can apply to these clients. So that's how I solve the challenges. It all comes down to R&D and experience and actually doing, not taking courses or looking at YouTube videos all day long, but actually doing it, experimenting on a brand, which is my own brand, which leads me to these great results.
So virtual world and real world, doing business in 2 different places. What is the difference?
Well, I enjoy the real world, probably because of this experience I had in Japan where everything was done physically. People didn't really watch webinars there until COVID. So, I'm a people person. I love meeting people. It's why I got into sales and marketing in the first place, to meet lots of people. And I do believe you develop a deeper relationship when you meet someone physically versus virtually. So, the physical companies I work with, those relationships tend to last longer. Virtual can last long as well, and I go out of my way to try to meet people physically when we have a virtual relationship. But it's really hard to make that human connection if you don't meet in person. So I'd say the virtual ones are a little bit harder, more challenging. I enjoy them equally, but I know that if I cannot make a human connection by meeting them physically, there's a danger that it's very, very hard to make a deep connection and therefore have a long relationship. And I always strive to do that. So yeah, that's sort of how I mean, Zoom and having conversations like this over Skype, they're great ways to deepen relationships, but there's nothing like meeting someone. In fact, my brother is an entrepreneur and he has a software team in India. And one day he just flew out to meet them and they freaked out. They've never had like an American boss like come to their office. And he showed up in New Delhi, right? And met them all, went out to lunch with them and everything. And he has worked with that team for like a decade now. And I get it, right? It makes a lot of sense when you make that human connection. So that's something that I strive to do. And I do think it does provide the best ROI.
And at last, what is your, as a digital marketer, as a person who is into internet from long time, as a person who works for, who helps businesses to build their build their graph. So, what is your observation about my work?
Oh, about your work. Well, I had asked you at the beginning, like who is the audience. So, Sai, I'd like to ask you, have you ever introduced the work that you do over the internet?
Yeah. So, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
Yeah, well, I think, in all honesty, I think you're a really great interviewer. You're asking really great questions. And interviewing is a skill. Not everybody can do it. So I think you're really good at what you do. I guess the question is how do you monetize that skill? Is always the challenge. But yeah, there are some great people on the internet that have been able to monetize the skill of interviewing. Great podcasts that have make a lot of money from interviewing other people. So I think it's a masterful skill, and I think that I think when anybody tries to become an influencer, the challenge is that you need to be known for a niche, right? Because then if you're known for a niche, it's actually easier to grow an audience. It's a challenge I have as well because digital content influencers, that's like a few niches together, and I can't niche down because my clients all need all that. So I'm more of a generalist, but to become truly influential, I think if you were to niche down into only interviewing people from certain industries or certain disciplines, it would actually help you, or create multiple channels. Each channel is interviewing different people from a single industry or country. I think that would help you grow your influence, just understanding the way that YouTube and all the algorithms work even faster.
Yeah, I got you. And
It's a challenge though. But I think my advice for people is often to, if you've already created a lot of content, go in, look at the content that's given you. It's usually the 80-20 rule, like 20% of your content's giving you 80% of the video views or likes or clicks, and then really lean in and do more of those as a way to let the data find your niche for you, a data-driven approach. So that's one bit of advice I can offer.
awesome. So at last, to my audience, do you want to say about the work that you are doing, and tell me how you can help them or to grow their businesses?
Yeah, well, I'm on a mission to help grow 1 million businesses every year. And I do it, first of all, through my blog, where I have over 500 blog posts about anything digital, social media marketing you can think of. And I get more than 1 million people come to my blog every year. So that's why I say I'm virtually helping 1 million businesses. So that's a great place to start. NEALSCHAFFER.com, NEALSCHAFFER.com. I also have a podcast, Your Digital Marketing Coach. So I'm publishing content there weekly. I have a YouTube channel myself, youtube.com/Neil Schaffer. I still need to do more videos. It's on my plan to do. But I offer just a ton of free content to help businesses. And that might be all that you need, right? But for those that want a little bit more, I do have a mastermind or group coaching community where people pay a nominal fee, and we meet once a week over Zoom. And it's a very, very small group. One of my members right now is actually, I have one member from India, one from the UK, one from New Zealand. They're not all just from the United States. It's a very international group. And we all help each other grow each other's businesses. So that's a very, very low cost way of engaging and me helping. It's right now, the price I think is like $60 a month. So it's a membership community, and then above and beyond that is the fractional CMO service. So if you don't have the money to hire someone full time, or you want to tap into my expertise and help grow your team, or whatever it is, you can reach out. Go to neilschaffer.com/CMO. You can fill out the form, and we can have a call and better understand if there's a fit or not. So it's a pretty easy to understand the business model and way in which I help people. But I'd say start with, I've invested a lot in creating a lot of content over time. There's also some free ebooks on my site. If you go to neilschaffer.com/freebies, you'll see a few ebooks on like LinkedIn or email marketing or guest blogging, all these different things that I've written. So I urge you to check it out, and I'd love to serve you, whether you read my blog or listen to my podcast or interested in my fractional CMO service. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own needs. I'm cool helping everybody. I help enough companies and make enough money that I can invest that into creating more content and helping more companies for free. That's how I see my role. Any way I can help you, it would be an honor.
I'll put your web links in the description of this video and also on the screen so that my people who watches our video can see your work and can take your service.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you.
Can you also spell your digital media presence to my audience who are listening this on podcast?
Oh, spell out the name of the podcast? Yeah, it's called Your Digital Marketing Coach with Neal Schaffer. So if you go to podcast.neilschaffer.com, it is a subdomain. You can listen to all the episodes on my website. If you go to neilschaffer.com, there's a podcast menu item. You can click that. Or if you're on Apple or Spotify, Your Digital Marketing Coach, and you should be able to find my podcast.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Oh, absolutely.
Can I also put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Neil. I took 6 more minutes. Thank you.
It's not a problem. Please email me when you publish so I can share with my audience as well.
Sure, Neil. Thank you. Thank you for your valuable time.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.